Hey, what's going on everyone? Flick here, and today I'm back again with another career mode challenge. This one will be with Hertha Berlin. I do want to take a moment to express my gratitude for the support left on the Manchester United career mode challenge. Again, it's really nice to be back on YouTube, and I plan on posting this episode on my 26th birthday. And for this year, I do want to make it a big goal of mine to get back to a regular upload schedule on YouTube. Now that I feel like I've honed in on the type of content I want to upload, I'm having fun making that content, just need to figure out that upload schedule part. I hope y'all will continue to help and support me along the way like you've done in the past. Let's get into the objectives for this career mode challenge. This challenge is a long-term project, at least 3 seasons in length, to take Hertha Berlin to the top ranks of European football. And one of the main reasons that I chose this club for this particular challenge is that despite being one of the most populated cities in Europe, Berlin's football clubs haven't historically performed as well as their counterparts in Germany, the likes of Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund. We're going to try to change that and help them become the best club in Europe. Like most of my career modes, we're also going to develop players from our youth academy. And to be fair, Hertha Berlin have a nice youth academy system. A lot of their players have risen through the ranks and now feature in their senior squad. Finally, wherever possible, we're going to try to sign overlooked players, and I categorize those players as transfer listed players, high potential players from relegated teams, and also players that have fallen out of their squad role. Along with our main objectives, as well as any board objectives that are given to us, we do have individual objectives for each season. I'm just going to quickly show this on the screen now in case you want to get into this challenge yourself, but we'll dive into these objectives in more detail as we get into each season. Finally, I wanted to include some fun facts about the club to improve your connection with Hertha Berlin and just increase the enjoyment of this career mode challenge. First fact being Arne Meyer with a potential of 85 or higher, and Jordan Torunariga with a potential of 84 or higher have been part of the Hertha Berlin system for many years. We're going to try to develop these players into club legends because they've been playing for the club for so long. There are several Hertha Berlin players that have connections to Premier League youth academy systems, specifically Manchester City. 3 players in our club, Boyata, Dilrosun, and Rekik, have played in their youth academy, and we're going to try to sign another current or former Manchester City player at some point in this save. Finally, Hertha Berlin have a real stadium in FIFA 20. The Olympiastadion, originally built in 1936, has a capacity of 74,475 seats. I think that's all the specs I wanted to cover before we get into today's challenge. But if you go on to enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like below, subscribe to the channel if you are new around here so you don't miss out on future uploads. If you do manage to try out this career mode challenge, leave a comment down below or message me on Twitter or Instagram. My @ for those profiles are the same as my YouTube name, Flickiify, and then I'll interact with you guys over there. But without further ado, let's get into season 1 of this career mode challenge with Hertha Berlin. All right, guys, I'm trying something a little bit different for today's career mode challenge. As you can see, or maybe you can't see, I busted out the green screen and we'll be recording today's video live. Let me know down in the comments section which format for these videos you prefer. Personally, I really like the live interactive stuff because it feels a little bit more authentic and entertaining, but to each their own. Anyways, we do have a few objectives to complete for season 1 of this career mode. We need to qualify for Europa League via league or cup performances. For the league, we would have to finish top 6, which I think is feasible for this Berlin squad. Winning the Deutsche Pokal would be a bit more difficult. And we're also able to use the Scout a Future Star feature from the catalog to improve our youth academy. I'm definitely going to be taking up that offer. This is the default squad that you load up with when you begin career mode, and there are some interesting choices and exclusions from the starting 11. To be honest, I don't mind this 4-2-3-1 wide formation, but the players chosen, I'd like to switch up a little bit. So I've already made a second squad that I'll be using to start off with in this career mode. Keep in mind that I might change the formation throughout these 3 seasons just to kind of fit the transfers I make and squad performances. But anyways, we're sticking with the 4-2-3-1 formation, where our goalkeeper will be Jarstein for this first season. He is getting up there in age, 34, so we definitely need to start thinking about a replacement option here in the future. Backline consisting of Mittelstadt, Rekik, Stark, and Wolf. Askasibar and Meyer will be our 2 holding defensive midfielders, and I really like this duo. I see Askasibar as the midfielder that stays back and wins back possession for us, gets it to our attackers, whereas Meyer I see as more of a box-to-box midfielder, more of a chance creator. Finally, we have Luca Bacchio as our left midfielder, Matthias Cunha as our center attacking mid, Kalu as our right midfielder, and Piontek as our starting striker. Our substitutes and reserves are also very well balanced. We have Kraft at 30 years old, can be a good backup option in case Jarstein gets injured. I really like the potential of Torunariga, as well as Gruich, who is on loan for us. Again, he will be leaving at the end of the season. Maybe we can sign him on a permanent basis. And then a few more players, Dorida, who can kind of play anywhere in the midfield. But Rosen has a ton of potential. I'm just kind of waiting for his overall rating to go up, and then he'll eventually replace Klue, whose overall rating will likely go down. Eswine and Ibisevic will round out our substitutes, and then this first line of reserves will be rotated into our substitutes and starting 11. They will still feature in a couple of matches this season. And I am not kidding you guys when I say we have just played our second preseason tournament match of the season, and I get this in my inbox. We scroll over to the office. You can see that Jarstein has a broken tailbone and he'll be out for 4 months. I'm pretty sure I foreshadowed this by saying, just in case Jarstein gets injured, we have Kraft, who's a solid rating. And guess what? It happened. Despite finishing top our group in the preseason tournament, we were knocked out in the semifinal to Everton 1-0. I finally found a 5-star scout, and considering the Jarstein injury, I think it's about time we bring in a youth academy prospect goalkeeper that has potential to be special. So we'll be sending Brewer for 3 months to Germany looking for a goalkeeper. We have our first transfer of the career mode in the form of a player leaving the club, and Pekarik will be departing for Fenerbahce. It was a deal worth 2.2 million, well below his market value of 2.8 million, but I just wanted to offload him. He's over 30 years old. I don't see him having a future for this Berlin squad. Another transfer that is very similar to the Pekarik deal, Shelbred will be departing for Wolves. It was a deal worth 4.85 million. After much deliberation, I've decided on the player I want to bring into the club in this first transfer window. Atala is going to be that player. He looks incredible, honestly, and so versatile. 4-star skill moves, a 5-star weak foot, and most importantly, he can play that right back position, which in my opinion is the weakest point in this Hertha Berlin squad, maybe behind the goalkeeper position. They're kind of interchangeable. Anyways, let's try to approach him and see if we can finalize this deal. And here is the news that I was hoping for. Atala has agreed to terms, and we brought him into the club for honestly a very fair price tag, only 22 million when his market value is 15.5 million. Considering his potential and the role he's going to serve for this club, I think that's an amazing bit of business. It was a wage deal worth 33 grand a week, and he does have a crucial first team player role, and it's a 5-year deal. So all around, some great bit of business and some great stats to go with that. Now that we made the most significant signing of this first season by bringing in Atal, I'm ready to begin player training. I have 10 players in total that I'll be rotating through. Here's the first slide, and you can take a closer look at the players and the different drills we'll be doing, as well as our second slot of training. Really excited to see if these players will be able to reach their potential or even exceed it. It looks like our scout has returned with the Scout of Future Star that we've redeemed through the catalog. And he's a left midfielder from Italy, Matteo Moretti. Very nice for the name. Value of 500,000 already, overall of 60, potential of 72 to 94. We'll let him hang out in the youth academy, see how he develops, and eventually I'll promote him in this first season. We've reached deadline day for this summer transfer window, and I'll walk you through some of these top deals. Good news for us, Marco Reus has left for Real Madrid for 92.9 million. Borussia Dortmund doesn't look to be quite as strong as they used to be, whereas Bayern have improved even further, signing Timo Werner for 91.2 million. Honestly, I don't think that's horrible though, because Bayern's always going to be the best team in the Bundesliga. Maybe them and Dortmund are going to challenge, but RB Leipzig, they're going to be a team that we need to fight for a Champions League spot here next season or within the coming seasons. So anytime their top player leaves, that's good news for us. Also, Insigne has left for Manchester City for 87.4 million. As for our club, we've had 3 permanent deals go through. Atal joining us from Nice for 22 million, and then 2 players departing, with Shelbred going to Wolves and Pekarik leaving for Fenerbahce. A number of players also left on loan. Dardai, Kieprits, and Bach were all loaned out to different teams. After a not so stellar start to the season where we've lost our first 3 matches, I made the executive decision to make a change to our formation, optioning for the 3-5-2, and I think this formation plays to our strength a little bit better than the 4-2-3-1 wide. First of which, we have a lot of quality defenders in this team, and the 3-5-2 allows you to play with 3 center backs, and it allows us to fit in Torunariga, and hopefully as he develops and improves in that rating, the extra match experience will kind of speed up the process. Also, Atal has moved up to a right midfield position, and Considering he's listed as a right wing by default, I think that's going to allow him to play better in these simulations. Other than that, not too many changes to the team. The only other real one is Luka Bacchio is now playing as a striker rather than a outside midfielder. We've just started the January transfer window, which I consider to be the halfway point of the season. So I wanted to check in, see how we're doing in the league, and kind of give an update to you all. And our league performance hasn't been bad, but it hasn't been great. Top 6 is our goal for this season. And we're pretty far off, 11 points from the 6th place position, which Leverkusen currently has. But to be fair, we are 7 points ahead of 10th place Werder Bremen. So we're very comfortable in the mid-table position, but I still want to keep pushing on, try to finish in a Europa League position. We have news that ex-Chelsea legend Solomon Kalou has agreed to a pre-contract deal with Başakşehir, so he'll be departing the club next season. Still have a couple months left with us, and hopefully he can continue to make an impact. Outside of the Kalou pre-contract deal, we didn't do any other transfer business during the January transfer window, and to be honest, I'm not concerned about that. I'm happy with the Atal signing we made at the start of the year, and behind the scenes, I also signed up 2 more youth scouts. I'm not sure if I showed that or not, so we're looking pretty good. We haven't been too active in regards to transfers in January, so I think it's time that we turn to our youth academy and sign up a goalkeeper to begin training right away. Ole Becker is the player that we will sign, a 16-year-old goalkeeper from Germany, 6 foot tall, right-footed, 56 overall, and a potential of 82 to 94. Here's a look at some of his individual stats. Those stats will be going up here pretty soon once we begin training. As promised, we have a new goalkeeper heavy player training slot. Becker and Schmarsch will be working on their goalkeeper drills, and I've thrown in Klunter there to work on his defending because he probably has the next best potential out of the players that I haven't already included in player training. It was only a matter of time before our Scout of Future Star wanted to be promoted to the senior squad, and the time has come for us to promote Matteo Moretti, and his potential has dropped a little bit to an 82 to 88. That's not horrible though, and to be honest, he'll probably be a squad rotational player, someone that I can bring on for fun once it's time to actually start playing some games. So we'll sign him up to a contract. Here's a closer look at some of his key attributes. Here's Moretti's player model. As you can see, he does show great potential. And unfortunately, we don't have the stats report yet for the goalkeeper we signed, Becker. That should be coming once he hits 60 overall. We finally have an update on Ole Becker. He has an exciting prospect status. Our youth academy has developed an incredible player in Guilherme Alvarez, a 17-year-old center back, 5'11", left-footed from Brazil, 65 overall, potential of 88 to 94, and a value of 1.2 million. We'll be signing him to the senior team and seeing what status he has. And there you have it. Alvarez does have potential to be special. I can't wait to see how much he can grow in season 2 and whether he could be part of our first team substitutes next year. As we approach the end of this season, we do have one player whose contract is expiring. The FIFA 13 legend Alexander Eswine will be departing the club. He has his place in FIFA history, but he does not have his place in our squad next season. Unfortunately, we did not finish in the league where I hoped we'd finish, which was top 6. I'm not going to make any excuses, but I do think that injuries and the poor start we had at the beginning of the season did play a role in our 8th place finish. With that said, I am optimistic about season 2. A lot of our young players have grown in their overall, and for those simulated matches, we're going to fare much better with higher overall ratings. Anyways, Dortmund did win the league by going undefeated, 29 wins and 5 draws. As for the relegated clubs, this is going to be important because we're going to look to sign some of the players from those teams. Paderborn, Schalke, and potentially Union Berlin. I'm definitely going to see if Schalke has any high potential youngsters that we can sign. As for the Deutsche Pokal, we were knocked out in the 3rd round to the eventual winners, Bayern Munich, who beat Mönchengladbach in the final. And it looks like the Berlin Derby will be here to stay next season. Union Berlin defeated Hannover 96 4-2 on aggregate in the promotion playoff final. A couple other competitions to go through. Liverpool defeated Chelsea in the UEFA Super Cup, the UEFA Champions League. It was Juventus or Piemonte Calcio who defeated Manchester City in the final 2-1. And now for the Europa League, it went to Manchester United defeating Wolves 2-0 in the final. That seems eerily familiar to the Manchester United career mode challenge that we did. A decent return from a few of our players. Piontek finished 11th in the goal scoring race with 14 goals from 29 matches, and Luka Bacchio finished with 12 goals out of 34 matches. Jarstein had the 7th most clean sheets in the league with 10 out of 26 matches. When we look at our team statistics and which players appeared in the most matches, it's just about where I want it to be. The players that I emphasized at the start of this save and the players that I think have a future in this team appeared in a lot of matches for us. Really, the only players that didn't either had an injury at some point in the season, the likes of Cunha and Dilrosun, or because we switched up our formation to 3-5-2, our left back Mittelstadt didn't appear in quite as many matches as I predicted at the start. If we revisit our objectives for this first season, unfortunately, we did not meet that first objective of qualifying for the Europa League via league/cup performances. Pretty tough draw in the Pokal, and we just didn't get enough points in the Bundesliga, but we did sign a future star to the team, and hopefully our new Italian left mid can develop into a decent player. Our primary league objective for season 2 is to finish top 4 in the Bundesliga and qualify for Champions League next season. That is going to be a tall order, but I'm optimistic about this team. I think we can do it, even though we finished 8th last year. And we're also going to try to sign an overlooked player in one of the 2 transfer windows. I'm mostly going to be paying attention to the relegated clubs that I mentioned at the end of season 1, as well as the players whose loan term has expired. This is the squad we have to work with for season 2, at least prior to making any transfers. And I feel like there are a number of positions that we need to look to improve if we do want to make a run at Champions League qualification. And probably starting with the goalkeeper position, I'd like to replace Jahrstein as he is 35 years old. And our youth academy prospect Becker, his overall rating isn't quite as high as I'd like it. So although we could train him a bunch this season, he still wouldn't be ready for first team action. So I'd like to bring in someone that can replace Jahrstein immediately. I'd also like to sign another defender, because with this 3 at the back formation, we need to have plenty of defenders in case one gets injured, and we could probably sign someone with a decent potential and be an end game center back for us. Also, I would like to improve our attack because, again, with 2 strikers, in case one of them gets injured, we need to make sure we have another one available, because right now our next best option at the striker position is Kupka. Another quick note about the squad is that we've had a few players return to us from loan. Tussar is back from Olympique Lyon, and I'm not sure where he's going to fit into this squad. He's 23 years old, so still some room to grow, but realistically, he's going to be a rotational center midfielder for us. And also Duda is a welcome addition, 78 rated center attacking mid, which is a position we don't have a lot of squad depth in, so very happy to have him back. And this first row of reserves players will feature in the odd match. Obviously, I'd like to keep developing our youth academy prospects, especially Alvarez, because he does have potential to be special. While we were able to finish top of our group of the preseason tournament, we were once again knocked out in the semi-final, this time to AFC Bournemouth. We have our first transfer of season 2. Plattenhart is off to the Premier League. He'll be joining Everton for 7.2 million. And there's really no hard feelings behind this transfer. He just doesn't fit into my squad plans anymore. The 3-5-2 formation really doesn't need fullbacks all that much. And we are making moves in this transfer window. Boyata has departed for Real Sociedad for 9.2 million. I do have a replacement in mind, and we're going to look to improve at that center back position. Boyata really is peaked at 77 overall. He's already 29 years old, so I don't see him getting much better than that. I have my first transfer target of season 2, and Michy Batshuayi was actually transfer listed by Chelsea. I was a bit surprised to see that, but I would definitely welcome his addition. I think we could rotate him, Piontek, and Luka Bacchia, and they would be a great trio of strikers. We've agreed the terms with Batshuayi, and he'll take on the number 9 for us. It was a $22.3 million transfer. That's slightly above his market value of $20.5 million. And it was an 81 grand a week contract. Crucial first team player role, which I hope he'll be able to achieve for us, and it's also a 5-year deal. The fullback effect seems to be real this transfer window. Klunter is now departing for Ligue 1. He'll be joining Lille for 7.3 million. Alexander Nubel is our next transfer target, and I really like the potential of this guy. There's a little bit of controversy around him, and the fact that he is leaving Schalke for Bayern Munich in real life. For a free deal, but obviously that sort of deal can't happen in this career mode, so I figure might as well sign him. Otherwise, another club probably will, now that Schalke is in the 2nd Bundesliga. Negotiations with Schalke and Nubel went rather smoothly. It was a transfer deal worth 13 million, and we are giving Nubo 30 grand a week for a crucial first team player role and a 5-year deal. I plan on starting player training with this guy right away, and I think he'll be above 80 rated in no time. We have about 30 million left in our transfer budget, and I want to make one more signing to bolster our squad. We'll look to sign Jason Denayer. We've had to use every penny in our transfer budget to do so, but we have completed the signing of Jason Denayer for 32 million from Olympique Lyon. He's on about 40 grand a week, and of course he does have a crucial first team player role. It's a 4-year deal, and this also importantly completes the former Manchester City objective that we've set in this career mode challenge. Unfortunately, it doesn't show it in the breaking news category, but Kovac has departed the club, and we've agreed to terms with FC Voluntaria and a little bit added to our transfer budget. So we're not completely broke now. Herber is off to CFR 1907 for 1.85 million. I think this will be the first of many goalkeepers to leave the club. Another goalkeeper is out of the club. Schmarsh was transferred for a fee of 970,000. I think this is the final goalkeeper transfer that we'll make in this window. Jarstein is off to Southampton, and I wish him the best of luck, and hopefully he can achieve similar things at Southampton that he achieved at Berlin. Some big money moves happening in the Bundesliga for this transfer window. Notably, Richarlison has joined Leverkusen for 78.8 million, and Bailey has left for Bayern for 69.4 million. Obviously, we had a lot of transfers take place for us, so I want to cover those quickly. Denayer, Batshuayi, and Nubel joined the squad, and then a number of players departed. I'm just going to scroll through because there's just too many for us to list, including players that we sent out on loan. But overall, I'm happy that the players that left did, because they just wouldn't have featured enough matches to be happy. This seems to be a recurring issue for Matthias Cunha. Unfortunately, he has another long-term injury in season 2. He had a pretty long one in season 1. He'll be out for 4 months. I didn't plan on having transfer news in the middle of simulating the season, but Kraft has been complaining about his play time, so I've decided to transfer list him, and Fulham have agreed to terms. So we sold him for 5 million, and we'll have to look at having a new backup goalkeeper option. We're faring much better at the halfway point of season 2 than we did at the halfway point of season 1. We're just 1 point shy of being within the top 4 of the Bundesliga and qualifying for Champions League. After an eventful summer transfer window, we had hardly any deals go through in the January transfer window. The only one that I would classify as a transfer was the Kraft move to Fulham in October. Unfortunately, it's been the case where several players are unhappy this season, and a key rotational player for us, Mittelstadt, is wanting to part ways and get some first team football, so he's moving to Napoli for 20.2 million. That will open up a lot of funds for us to use in season 3. The final match day of season 2 could not be more important for us. We currently sit 4th and would qualify for Champions League as things stand, but we need to win in order to ensure our qualification for next season in the Champions League, and we're facing our rival Union Berlin. Let's go ahead and simulate this match and see how we do. I'm feeling confident. I think they're sitting around 17th, really close to the relegation zone. So let's just get right into this. Surely we have to win this, and we win it 1-0. We made it close, but it's Cunha who scored the only goal of the match. It's great to see him on the score sheet because he battled through injuries this season. As we approach the end of season 2, it's time to start promoting youth academy players that want out of the academy, and Vukovic will be our first promotion. He's a 17-year-old right back from Serbia, 62 overall, 84 to 94 potential, and a value of 700,000. Don't really need right backs in this team, but we may as well sign him, see how he develops. We can always use center backs in the 3-5-2 formation, so I'm very optimistic about this Hansen signing. He's an 18-year-old center back from Germany, an overall of 66 and potential of 86 to 92. We intentionally signed 2 youth academy players in this second season. I say intentionally because I accidentally signed 1 player as well. I'll talk about that later, but we'll start with Hansen. He has an exciting prospect status and can play a variety of positions similar to Alvarez, and they're going to have similar roles. I'll continue training him in the 3rd season, and he could probably rotate into the squad starting in season 4. Moving on, we also have Vukovic, who has an exciting prospect status. If I'm being honest with you guys, I don't know if I'll be playing him all that much because we don't need fullbacks in this team. But we have the final youth academy player that I signed who just has a horrible overall. Traore with a 48 overall. I'll transfer list him at the start of season 3 because I didn't intend on signing him. Season 2 has finally come to an end, and man, what an exciting season it was. Dortmund repeated as Bundesliga winners, but it was a late push by us that allowed us to finish top 4 and qualify for Champions League next season. I'm so proud of the lads, and I can't believe we went from, I think it was 8th last season all the way up to 4th, and my expectations are high for season 3. Let's take a look at the relegation battle, and it was Stuttgart and Dusseldorf that were relegated, potentially Freiburg as well. And for top goal scorers in the Bundesliga, Belotti put in a shift, 31 goals from 34 matches, although to be fair, Piontek and Batshuayi appearing in the top 10, 6th and 9th place respectively with 17 and 16 goals. A couple of our players finished in the top assist category, Meyer with 15 assists from 34 matches, and a Tall with 10 assists. I would argue that Nubel was a key reason we finished top 4, so I'm very happy we decided to make that signing at the start of the season. 15 clean sheets for him from 34 matches. We were knocked down the round of 3 of the Deutscher Pokal, and Bayern Munich won the final over Frankfurt 3-0. And for that promotion playoff final, once again, the Bundesliga team was victorious. Freiburg will be staying in the Bundesliga next season. Piemonte Calcio defeated Manchester United 5-4 on penalties for the UEFA Super Cup. And Manchester United seemed to be the team to beat in this career mode. They won the Europa League last season over Wolves, and now they've went ahead and won the Champions League final over Liverpool. Spurs have managed to secure a trophy, winning the Europa League over Lyon. It was an exciting final as well, winning 5-4 on penalties. A lot of the players that featured in the most matches from Season 1 also appeared in the most matches for Season 2. Really the only players that I didn't feature as often that I would usually choose in our starting 11 had an injury at some point in the season. Also the case with Mittelstadt and Dilrosun. I kind of split up the playtime before Mittelstadt sent in that transfer request. So now we're going with Dilrosun full send moving forward. Honestly, we've done super well in Season 2, managing to complete both our objectives of finishing in a top 4 position in the Bundesliga and signing an overlooked player in the form of Michy Batshuayi. Really excited about Season 3 as this squad continues to develop, and it's going to get very interesting now that Champions League gets factored into the play. For Season 3 onward, our objective is fairly straightforward. We want to become the best club in Europe, specifically by winning the Bundesliga and Champions League. It doesn't have to be in the same season, but I would like to achieve both of those objectives before we finish this career mode challenge. Looking at the squad we have right now, I'm not feeling too confident that we'll be able to win the Bundesliga and Champions League this year. I think we'll be in the mix for those competitions, but I'd just like to make some progress. Maybe finish top 3 in the Bundesliga and get out of the group stage in the Champions League, and then we can have a real shot at it in Season 4. To give you some insight where my head's at, I think there's a few positions that we need to improve in this summer transfer window. Dilrosun has a ton of potential, but I think his overall rating is a bit too low right now, so I'd either like to sign a left mid or sign another striker. That way Luka Bacchio can shift over to that left mid position, and then Dilrosun can come on off the bench. I also have some concerns about Matthias Cunha. His overall hasn't progressed as quickly as I would have liked. He's had injuries in 2 consecutive seasons. I'll give him another shot in Season 3, but if he gets injured again, I think we'll need to sign a replacement for him. We also had a few players return to the club because their loan spell ended. Leuven is a center midfielder, can also play CDM, and he looks to have a good amount of potential. 78 rated already at 24, so we can still put him through a little bit of player training. 25 is kind of my cutoff for player training. Also, Selka, not too sure what I want to do with him. Probably put him on the transfer list because we have better strikers in the team at this point. If we had him available earlier on, I could have trained him, but at this point, he's already 26. Hasn't even hit 80 rated yet, so long term, I don't see a future for him. And then Yarstashemski also looks like a solid player, 73 rated at 21 years old. We can put him through a couple years of player training. We're about to make some moves in this transfer window. The board has granted us loads of funds, bringing us to a total transfer budget of $93.5 million. Now that we're in the later stages of this save, I always check to see what players have release clauses added to their contract, because sometimes you can find a bargain, and Erling Braut Haaland might be a player for us to pick up. I know it's somewhat unrealistic. A lot of people do sign him in career mode, but if you look at the players in this Dortmund team, they have so many strikers already, and I'm not too sure Haaland is wanting to sit on the bench. He probably wants some first team action. What better way than to go to another Bundesliga club that's qualified for Champions League? And considering his release clause is lower than his market value, I think we need to pick him up. And thinking about it some more, signing Haaland would solve a lot of our problems. We could put him at striker alongside Piontek, and that would allow Luka Bacchio to play at left mid. Batshuayi would be coming on off the bench. Not too sure how happy he'll be about that, considering he's a crucial first team player, but you can't deny the potential that Haaland does have. And if we want to really compete in Champions League and Bundesliga, we have to start signing these high potential players. Haaland seemed eager to sign because negotiations went super smoothly, and I cannot wait to put him into our starting 11. Just looking at some of those stats, he's going to be incredible in game once we get a chance to use him. But of course, more importantly, he's going to be great in those simulations because we can start training him up, and he's already the second best player in our squad. Our luck in the preseason tournament has finally changed. We went undefeated and we beat Athletic Club Bilbao in the final 5-4 on penalties, so even more transfer funds added to our budget. We decided to part ways with Darida. He'll be joining Brentford for 7 million. Selka joined the squad a little too late, and as a result, I did put him on the transfer list. He was picked up by Porto for 17.4 million. Since we have so many excess funds, I would like to add a little bit more squad depth to the team, and I think Musa Genepo would be a great signing. I had a personal Southampton save that I did earlier on in FIFA 20, and he scored that amazing goal against Sheffield United. So I think he would be a really cool player sign. Can also play left mid and right mid. This seems like a perfect player for us. For 20 million, I really like this signing of Gineppo, and who knows, maybe he could find his way into our starting 11. You never know what might happen over the course of a season. One of our center backs, Florian Bach, has left the club, and we received 680,000 for him. We've reached transfer deadline day, and we still have a number of funds available to us. 65 million to be exact, and I'll be saving those funds for January or even next season, depending on how some players perform in our squad. Right now, I'd like to hold off on spending any more cash. Here's a look at some of the top deals in this summer transfer window. Valverde has joined Liverpool for 83.2 million. Correa has joined Dortmund for 75.2 million, and Tielemans has joined Juventus for 74.4 million. We had two signings for a combined 67.5 million in the form of Hulan and Gineppo, and to offset that, we had about 25 million in player departures. 4 players were sent out on loan, including 3 players from our youth academy. We're still early stages in the season, but already we have a youth academy player that wants to be promoted, and to be fair, Vlasic looks pretty solid. Another center back coming through our youth academy, 17 years old, 5'11", left-footed, 63 overall with a potential of 90 to 94. I'm not sure if he'll ever feature for this team because we might just run out of time with this challenge, but if he does reach the upper end of his potential, then he'll certainly be a part of the squad. And there you have it. Vlasic does have potential to be special. I'm not entirely sure I'll devote training time to him because we do have Alvarez that we're already giving a training slot, but we'll see how things go, how he develops on his own, and if he does progress quickly, then I might accelerate that even further through player training. Unfortunately, we were unable to advance from the Champions League group stage. Lazio put in some good performances, to be fair. They beat us once and they drew us once, and they also managed to beat Manchester United once, which was a huge step for them. But now we'll be turning our attention to the Bundesliga and the Deutsche Pokal for the rest of the season. If we can get the Bundesliga title out of the way this season, that way we can focus on the Champions League next season. Despite a short spell in the Champions League, we have a very real opportunity of winning the Bundesliga this season. Just 2 points shy of RB Leipzig, who are currently top of the table. Bayern also ahead of us, in Dortmund, although they've been the team to beat the last 2 seasons, their form in the Bundesliga hasn't been quite as good, and I'm wondering if the Champions League group stage had anything to do with that. I've tried to hold off on making another signing because I don't think we necessarily need it, but if I'm thinking about the future, I know we need more squad depth at the center attacking mid position. I just can't reliably say that Matthias Cunha will be healthy for the rest of this save. Maybe it's just bad luck that he got injured the first 2 seasons, but if that were to happen when we're trying to make a Champions League run, we would just be out of luck. So I'm going to add Jonathan David to the squad. Somehow he's still playing in the Belgian Pro League, so we'll try to pick him up. 21 years old, 83 rated, should have a lot of potential. It certainly wasn't a cheap transfer, but it was a necessary one, and we've secured the signing of Jonathan David for 50 million. It's really cool to see another Canadian making his way to the Bundesliga to join the likes of Alphonso Davies. The Youth Academy player that we accidentally signed last season has been transferred out of the club. We've had a teeny bit added to our transfer budget. Just 1 player in and 1 player out during this winter transfer window. Now we need to push on and try our best to finish top of the Bundesliga by season's end. I completely forgot that despite being knocked out of the Champions League group stage, we still have the Europa League left to play. I'm not too excited about the competition. To be honest, I would rather focus on the league, but I'll still show these matches, and if we won the Europa League, that would be a nice little addition to this career mode challenge. We'll be fielding a strong team though, and seeing if we can advance as far as possible. Our first match against Feyenoord, and we will win this one 2-1. Time for our second leg against Feyenoord in this round of 16. They are not in great form, so I'm fully expecting for us to advance, and we will win this one by a good margin, 4-0, and a couple of our goal scorers, Alan Piontek and Jonathan David. We've had a number of injuries to center backs in our senior squad, so I'll turn to our youth academy to add a little bit more squad depth at that position. And to be fair, Timo Schultz looks like a decent player. 17 years old, 6'1", right-footed, 64 overall, potential of 88 to 94, and a value of 1 million. We'll see what his status is. We've lucked out here. Schultz has potential to be special, and he'll be going straight to our substitutes. Might even appear in the first match that he has the opportunity to play in. I made a mistake by saying we were in the round of 16 against Feyenoord. We're actually in the round of 16 against Bordeaux. The round of 32 is against Feyenoord, but I believe we won the first leg against Bordeaux 2-0. So we should be able to advance to the next round. We'll see how this result does go. And this one ends at 3-1. So we'll be advancing to the round of 8 for the Europa League. We've had a lot of luck in finding great prospects in our youth academy this season, and Under will be our next signing. 66 overall, potential of 90 to 94. And he plays left back. Hopefully he has some good secondary positions, because as you guys know, we don't need fullbacks in this team. All right, good news. Under has potential to be special and can play left back or center back, a position that we definitely need more squad depth in because we have been plagued by injuries to center backs this season. Quarterfinal time against Marseille. We won the home leg 4-1, so surely we'll be able to advance to the semis. Still going to field a strong team though. I don't want to take any chances, and we won this one, not by as big of a margin, but we are advancing to the semifinal of the Europa League. We didn't have a great performance in the first leg of the semifinal, losing at 2-0 to Villarreal, but anything can happen at home, and maybe, just maybe, we can advance to the Europa League final. A 4-0 win! Wow, I must have done an amazing pep talk, and we are through to the final of the Europa League, which is very convenient for us. I'm not sure if we're going to qualify for Champions League via league position. It's going to be a close race, so if we can win the Europa League, that would be ideal. We've reached the final of the Deutscher Pokal. It would be great if we could check this competition off our list, but we'll need to get through Bayern to do so. Anyways, let's simulate. This is one of the first games in a long time that we've had a fairly healthy squad, so I'm feeling good about it, even though Bayern are a great opponent. And we win it 2-2 in regulation, 4-3 on penalties. Of course, it's Jonathan David and Haaland to score the goals. 2 of our signings from this season. Great stuff from the lads. We have one final youth academy prospect to promote to the senior squad. Russell Gagnon, a 16-year-old center back from the United States with overall of 61 potential of 90 to 94, has requested to be promoted. He's probably going to be the worst of the Youth Academy center backs that we've signed, but still, might as well sign him. And to be completely honest with you guys, I think this will be the last Youth Academy player I've signed. We have plenty of squad depth now, and I'm honestly tired of checking our Youth Academy reports each month. Gagnon's status has not disappointed. He has potential to be special, and it seems like a lot of these center backs we signed can also play center mid, and I'm not going to complain about that. Our final match of Season 3 will be the Europa League final against Chelsea. Let's see how we do, and if we can add another trophy to our cabinet. The squad's been in good form recently, and unfortunately this time we lose on penalties. Some really decent play defensively, just our attackers could not get the goals that we wanted, but still a great season overall, and I think we are looking very good for Season 4. We can make a run at the Champions League and the Bundesliga. An identical finish this year as we had last year in regards to league position. We ended up finishing 4th, so the Europa League wasn't as important as I expected it to be a few months ago when we were battling with Mönchengladbach for that 4th place position. But let's take a look at the rest of the teams here. Leipzig ended up being the Bundesliga winners this year over Dortmund. As for the relegated teams, we have Hannover putting in an abysmal performance with only 10 points. Augsburg also being relegated, and Freiburg may have been relegated. Again, the Bundesliga team is the promotion playoff final winner, so Freiburg will be staying up. I was very curious to see the results of the Champions League because obviously we were knocked out in the group stage. It was FC Barcelona winning an all-Spanish final 4-3 on penalties over Atletico Madrid. The Europa League is obviously fresh in our memory, so I don't need to talk about this one too much. Chelsea were winners. I think the Pokal marks our first trophy if you don't count the preseason tournaments, and I'm very proud of this result because it's not every day that you're able to beat Bayern. Manchester United won the Champions League last year, and they immediately followed that up with a Super Cup victory over Spurs. We'll go through some of the top players' stats, and Belotti seems to be the player to beat in the Bundesliga when it comes to scoring goals. I think he finished top goal scorer last year as well. 22 goals out of 34 matches this year. We do have some representation through Haaland with 17 goals from 32 matches. And Lacazette seemed to be the supplier of goals for Belotti. 15 assists for him out of 34 matches. We had Meyer in 4th, 10 assists from 33 matches, and Luca Bacchio with 8 assists from 32 matches. Defensively, I think we're pretty sorted. We just need to find a way to score more goals. Nubel was the top goalkeeper in the Bundesliga this season, 18 clean sheets from 34 matches. Looking through some of the team statistics, we had a lot of potential for players to appear in matches because we had lots of competitions, but Nubel ended up having the most appearances for us, and scrolling through, we were plagued by injury this year. I think that's a very serious reason why we didn't perform as well in some of the competitions like the Champions League and the Bundesliga, you can just see about half the appearances for some of our key players as compared to Nubel, who showed up in about every match. Not too much to recap for season 3 in regards to the objectives. Obviously, we were not the top club in Europe. We haven't won the Bundesliga yet, and we have not won the Champions League, although we do have a start by winning the Pokal. That is why I did list this career mode challenge as 3+ seasons. If you're playing every single match, you might be able to achieve that objective, but when you're simulating most of the matches like I am, or I've simulated every single match so far, it's going to take more than 3 seasons realistically. We move on to season 4, and this is the squad that I expect to use once matches do start. A couple players are recovering from injuries, and a few are out on international duty, but once matches get underway, we should have everyone back on full fitness. In terms of what positions we need to improve in order to win the Bundesliga and win the Champions League, I think the left mid position is pretty obvious. It's one of our lowest, if not the lowest rated positions, so we need to sign someone that is world class at that left mid spot. As for what other positions I want to improve, I'm a bit torn because I could look to improve the center defensive mid position, sign someone who has a higher overall rating than Eskasibar, but I like the duo of Eskasibar and Meyer. I don't necessarily want to replace him. Or I could look to sign a center back with a higher overall rating. I'm not certain that an 83 overall rating is going to cut it. Now that the board has granted us additional funds, we have roughly 140 million to work with for our transfer budget. If we're going to win big, we'll need to spend big. If I'm going to go all out this season, I may as well weaken my opposition in the process. Kingsley Coman is available on a release clause just slightly above his market value, so we'll look to pay 80 million or so directly. In order to sign an 88 rated winger, I think that's worth it. This Coman deal has been our marquee signing so far, and I sure hope the 80 million is worth it. Obviously, he's been great the last few years in career mode, and I'm hoping that's still the case in FIFA 20. I made the decision to transfer list Rekik, and as a result, Benfica picked him up for 23.5 million. My reasoning for this is that our Brazilian Youth Academy center back is quickly developing. He's going to surpass Rekik here within this season. And I also have a plan to sign a higher rated center back into the squad. Duda has also left the club. He'll be joining Lyon, and I was very happy to receive more than his market value because he was unhappy with his playtime. So I think other clubs were trying to pick him up for cheap, but luckily Lyon paid well above his market value. Another departure from the club. Unfortunately, Dardai's potential was never going to be high enough to make it into the first team or substitutes. I've also made the decision to let Tussar leave. It was always going to be him or Leuven. Leuven has a higher overall rating, and I have a little bit more trust in him, so I figured we might as well cash in while we can. It's Super Cup time, and for those of you that aren't familiar with the German leagues, it's when the winner of the League Cup, the Pokal, plays the winner of the Bundesliga, and this is a good test for us to see how we fare against RB Leipzig, because obviously we're gunning to win the Bundesliga this year, and it was a good result for us, 4-3 on penalties. Time is slowly starting to run out on our summer transfer window, and I am just not able to find a quality center back to bring into the club, so I figure we may as well go for a center defensive mid in the form of Sandro Tonali. He's still playing at Brescia. I was a bit surprised to see that, so we're going to give him an upgrade in terms of club status, and he's going to get some Champions League football. This could very well be our final signing of the career mode challenge. We brought in Tonali for 61.7 million, a hefty price tag, but when you get this late in career mode, you need to sign those high potential players, and I know Tonali, with some extra training, can probably hit 86, 87, if not higher, by the end of the season. With transfer deadline day coming to an end, big money is being exchanged between clubs. KDB off to Real Madrid for 130 million. Some ridiculous price tags here. Fabian to Manchester City for 95 million, and Fekir to RB Leipzig for 93.7 million. That's not what I wanted to see, because we know RB Leipzig won the Bundesliga last year. They're one of our many competitors. We brought in 2 players and parted ways with 4 players. Coman and Tonali joining the squad, and then Duda, Rekik, Tussar, and Dardai off to other ventures. Also, 2 loan deals going down. Under and Kupka went on season-long loans. So with this transfer window done, I'm pretty sure this is what our final squad will look like in terms of the starting 11 and substitutes. Of course, some of the player ratings may change, and I've actually given Tonali the captain's armband because he has the leadership trait. I'm not sure if that'll make an impact on the simulated matches, but I figured might as well. A great start to our Champions League campaign. We managed to top our group consisting of Real Madrid, Benfica, and Lokomotiv Moscow. We've reached the halfway point of season 4, and so far so good. We currently sit top of the Bundesliga with 45 points, only 3 points ahead of Bayern. That's a bit concerning, but we're also in the round of 16 of the Champions League. Just 2 loan deals to discuss for this January transfer window. Sumarjic and Kieprits were loaned out for the rest of the season. All right, it's time for our round of 16 tie in the Champions League against Ajax. We won the first leg away 2-0. This second leg will be interesting. I'm happy it's a home game, but we've suffered 2 long-term center back injuries. What's new? So we are starting a back line that is not too high rated. One of our center backs is in the lower 70s. So you never know what might happen. Let's just simulate. We've been holding a lot of clean sheets, and we pick up another 2-0 result. I'll take that. Denayer and Torunariga have returned from injury at just the right time. We have the second leg of our quarterfinal fixture in the Champions League. We won the first leg 1-0 at home. The second leg will be interesting. No Coman available due to injury, and also no Atal due to a red card suspension. Let's just get into the simulation and see how we do. I am nervous about this one. And we win it 2-0. We're through to the semis. It means we have to beat one more opponent, and then I can play the Champions League final. All right, Liverpool will be our opponents for the semi-final of the Champions League. I'm going to show both legs. Looks like they're in fantastic form, winning their last 3 matches, 2-0 and 3-0 against Bayern, as well as 4-0 against Inter. Let's just get into the simulation. We've got a lot of clean sheets ourselves, and it ends at 1-1. I like our chances going into the home fixture, I've got to say. I'm so nervous about this second leg, guys, but our team is as strong as it could be. Literally, none of our starting 11 players are injured. Coman just came back from his injury. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Let's just simulate. I'm so nervous. Please win this game. And we win it 1-0. Come on. Injury for Piontek. Hopefully that's not serious. But we pretty much have the Bundesliga wrapped up. I just need to win in the Champions League final. Let's go. All right, y'all. We know we're in the Champions League final. We've managed to secure the Bundesliga title as well. 8 points clear of RB Leipzig, so finishing in first by a comfortable margin. We do happen to be playing RB Leipzig in the Deutscher Pokal final. You know, it's not a necessary objective for this career mode, but I figure we may as well simulate this one. And if we can pick up this result as well, that'd be awesome. Let's just go ahead and get into it. I'm resting a couple of players because they're recovering from injury. We get an easy 1-0 win. All that's left is the Champions League final. Let's get it. Before we play the Champions League final against Manchester City, I wanted to show some back-end stuff, such as our final squad ratings, our performances this season, as well as all the league table and top scores, that sort of thing. So let's get right into it and show off the squad that we've managed to achieve 4 seasons into this career mode. Finally, we're hitting the overall rating that I was planning on in order to reach this Champions League final. We fought hard to get here, and I fully intend on winning our final match of the season. I'm also going to give Meyer the captain's armband for the match because he's the highest overall player that started at the club that's left of the players we do have. So I figure it's only right that he lifts the trophy if we do manage to win. We'll go through the rest of this fairly quickly because I'm keen to start the Champions League final. We won the Bundesliga by 8 points, and the relegated squads were Stuttgart, Nuremberg, potentially Hamburg as well. Let's check that. And that has actually not been decided yet. So we won't be able to see that, unfortunately, in this career mode, but I suppose it doesn't matter since we're not going to play any more fixtures. For the Pokal, we beat RB Leipzig 1-0. Of course, we know that. Super Cup went to us as well. I forgot that we beat Leipzig at the beginning of this season. Champions League is about to be played. The UEFA Super Cup. Barcelona beat Chelsea 3-0. And then the Europa League. Let's see if the final has already been determined. Yeah, Manchester United beat Milan 3-1. Benzema was the top goal scorer in the Bundesliga this season. And that's very interesting because Belotti's been dominating the last 2 years. I'm wondering if he's even playing for RB Leipzig anymore, or if he just had an off year, did an injury or something like that. Haaland had a very good season, finishing with 22 goals from 31 matches, just shy of the mark of Benzema. And then 2 other players finishing in the top 15 for us, David and Coman. For assists, it was Meyer, who was our top assist maker this year, 10 assists from 31 matches. We also had David with 6 assists from 33 matches. And then clean sheets, no surprise here, Nubel was once again top with 21 clean sheets from 33 matches. It was basically our strongest starting 11 that had the most appearances this season, minus a couple of players that weren't able to play due to injuries. So let's check out the goals and assist category. Haaland was 12 goals above the mark of Jonathan David, who put in a really good performance for a center attacking midfielder. I'm sure he was also up there in most assists. Yeah, it was Meyer and David, as well as Coman, who played significantly fewer matches. Let's get the final underway at the Stadio Olimpico. It will be crucial for us to get the first goal in this match. If you do so, legendary difficulty becomes significantly easier. So that will be my target. Try to play strong defensively and score the first goal. To be honest, there haven't been all that many changes to the Manchester City starting 11. They have Griezmann at the striker position, who will be a force to be reckoned with, but it's a lot of their youngsters that have just developed and they've decided to put their trust in them, which I can respect that approach because we have taken a similar strategy for our team. This might be an early chance for us, as we do have a couple of attackers forward. That's a great through ball played to Jonathan David. I see the run on the far post. Hopefully he's onside here. And it is offside for Piontek. He just had to time his run correctly. There wasn't even anyone marking him. That is super disappointing. We could have had the early lead 8 minutes in. We'll see how close this really was. Wasn't off by much. Really, first chance here for Manchester City. They haven't had too much of the ball, but when they have had the ball, they've looked dangerous. And surely we need to come out in that cross. Nubel was hesitating for a second. Worked out in the end. As we win back possession, this is, come on, some great dribbling. He'll try to play this one through to Stark. What a ball. And this time, Piontek better be ready. It's just going to be Holland getting around the keeper. Just needs to finesse it by. He waited too long. I should have put my faith in the Holland. He's a 90 rated striker, and I tried to be too fancy with it. Interesting ball played out wide. Surely they're going to try to play that to Sterling. I guess not. We just need to contain here, not give up any easy through balls. Nice win by Jonathan David. Although he's a center attacking mid, I've got to say he's a decent defender. And of course, he can pass the ball as well. As we get this one out wide to Atal. He does keep this one inbounds. He's going to attack the Manchester City defense, playing it in the middle. This is a chance for Piontek to put a goal away. He was offside earlier in the match. Now he buries his chance. And the player that's been with us since the start will get the first goal of the match. And that's what you love to see. It should be easy sailing from here on out. Oh, the pace of Atal is just too much. Waiting for the run. And it's going to be through to Piontek. Seeing a player on the edge of the box. We will play it to him. And this one, it was Meyer nearly getting a shot off. Defended well by Manchester City. Now we need to get numbers back. Really is a 3-on-3. That is the disadvantage of this 3-5-2 formation. We need to rely on our wingers. Come back and play defense as well. A solid first half performance from us. We could easily be up 2 or 3-0, but unfortunately we missed a couple of chances due to offside calls. Manchester City hanging on to a lot of possession, but not really doing much with it. As for squad fitness, I'm feeling okay with our current selection of players. I'll probably make some changes later on depending on how the scoreline goes, but Askasibar will definitely be brought in eventually for Tonali, and Dilrosun will make an appearance. The third substitution is completely dependent on the scoreline. Oh, this is a good build-up play for Manchester City. They might be able to get a goal here. We're guarding the inside pass, well defended by Denayer, and easily cleared away. Our strikers coming back to support, and we'll try to get this second goal now. As we play this one through, it's going to be Jonathan David that's through. Can he beat the keeper? We're going to go with the early shot, and he buries the chance. I believe Jonathan David also has a 5-star weak foot, so it wouldn't have mattered what foot he shoots on. But now we have a 2-goal margin. I'm going to start playing more defensively with this 3-5-2, probably setting our wingers to stay back because we just need to hang on to the lead at this point. I'll make 2 substitutions right now and save our last substitution for later on. Askasibar is definitely the more defensive-minded center defensive mid between him and Tonali, and Dilrosun is slightly better defensively than Coman. I'm liking the changes. Easy win for us there. Manchester City, they have gone full out attack. They know they need some goals quickly if they want to be in the running for this fixture. Now they're starting to slow down again, playing their possession-based football. Antoine Griezmann. Out wide to Herrera. Really doing too much with it. The time is the enemy for Manchester City right now. I feel like they need to start playing more direct. And as I say that, they try crossing it in. Nubo punches it out, and David can carry. And hey, if they're going to give him the space, why not? Now playing it on to Hurland. Askasibar. Not exactly the player I want going forward offensively. Oh, but this should be an easy finish, and it's 3-0. That should seal it. Jonathan David being really the man of the match so far. And part of the reason for that is because he is strong on both feet. Manchester City's game plan is just not working out for them. Our center backs are too tall, and their attackers are winning nothing. This might be a chance for Erling Haaland to score a goal. He's gonna go for the far post chip. Why not? And what a goal from Erling Haaland. Saw Ederson off this line, and that is a fantastic way to cap off the match. Not a big fan of the celebration, but that's right. The number 30 for us scores an incredible goal. Takes a couple of heavy touches, just buries that one. And that'll cap off the match, guys. A dominant performance, 4-0 against Manchester City in the final. I'm glad we were able to finish off this career mode challenge with a victory. And I'm going to leave the rest of the celebrations for you guys, and I'll be signing off here. Hope you have enjoyed this career mode challenge with Hertha Berlin. Let me know if you try it out yourself, and I'll see y'all next time.